We all know that I was right and that Jeff was wrong. That's all that's important. All right. Here we go. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Double T British Kennels. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
Get on that waiting list now. It is time. It's puppy season. You can get a puppy, a started dog, finished dog.
So you're taking your victory lap, huh?
My victory lap, Jeff.
So you were right.
My victory lap.
Is that what you're saying? Me and Andy had
born Shawnee, Oklahoma.
We were talking about Brad Pitt, who was born
my man crush.
That's absolutely disgusting.
Really?
It is 20. Yeah, you can't have man crushes. That's just something you don't talk about.
Why?
You just don't.
Who's your man crush?
I don't have a man crush.
You don't have any man that you think is attractive?
No, not attractive. I think there's some guys that are pretty cool, but attractive is not the word I would use.
He's a cool, attractive, good-looking guy.
Yeah, I don't use the word attractive when it comes to men. There's some cool dudes out there.
Brad Pitt.
I don't think he's that cool. He's just a movie star.
You don't think he's cool?
No, I think he's probably a dickhead, probably.
Maybe. Might come in that door and whip your old ass.
He's in better shape than I am, but he better bring his 5'7" ass and some lunch with him. I'm telling you. He ain't very fucking big. I'm not worried about him whipping my ass.
I bet he's 6'1".
I would say right now, I think one of the coolest dudes out there is Luke Combs.
Why?
He's a fat guy that can sing, and he's
5'11". He's my size.
I ain't worried. I ain't scared of you either. Anyway, with us today from Shawnee, Oklahoma, Mr. Cody Sellers.
That's what started this whole debate. Was you, Cody?
Yep. Well, another
That's
one
right.
for Andy.
I'm
He's
creeping
got
up.
4. He's down 400, 412 behind me now. And I was way off. Broken Bow is not where I swear he grew up in I would have lost some money on that because I'd have bet on that.
Damn it.
My Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Yeah, and honestly, that sounded correct to me, the Broken Bow deal. That sounded
maybe his
right.
parents live there now or something. Anyways, I do have a cool Shawnee, Oklahoma story. I was tornado chasing one time, me and Fred Ledesma, my big-headed Mexican friend. And we were we had been through Shawnee. It was the day before the Moore tornado. Shawnee got hit by a tornado, hit the mall and stuff. And we ended up at Drumright, Oklahoma. And we got caught between 2 tornado warning storms, and we had to come through one. Anyways, we got to Shawnee, and they were cleaning up the mess after it went through and hit the mall and stuff. And we're going through the big bridge there on I-40, which is east of town, correct? Is that right?
Yep,
we're coming
correct.
across there, and they got the whole interstate's blocked off and stuff. Well, I have a radio in my truck, like a ham radio that I can listen to storm chasers, and I'm listening. I got the Shawnee fire departments had their deal, and I was listening into what they were talking about. And the guy said, "We've got a body here in the trees at I-40." And I'm like, oh, because that takes all the wind out of your sails. When you're tornado chasing, you want to see a tornado, but you want to see it in the country. You don't want to see anybody get hurt. And that's just the reality of that situation is then that was very realistic all of a sudden that someone had lost their lives. And so
yeah, absolutely.
About that time we get to the bridge and you look and they've got a light. It's right at getting to be dark almost, and you can see a light on them, and there's a body in the trees hanging. And I was like, oh, fuck. I mean, it's just terrible.
Wow.
We don't hardly talk for 5 or 10 minutes. And then they come on the radio and said, oh, that's just a mannequin from the mall that had gotten stuck there. And I was like, thank God, boy. Then we got to talk about tornado chasing again. But man, that was a sad moment, 10 minutes for us.
What year was that?
Whenever the Moore tornado got hit, 2000 and, hell, I can't remember, 10, 11, 12. I don't remember.
That last big one, I think it was 11.
It
11 or
was
12.
a bad day that day. And then the next day was worse because the next day was more.
I saw Reed Timmer recently had got on a tornado in Nebraska. Gorgeous, picturesque, Jeff. You'd have loved it.
He gets on tornadoes every day.
You'd have loved it.
He gets on tornadoes in December.
Yeah, wow.
He was in Nebraska.
It was very, very picturesque.
Yes, saw a picture yesterday. A guy had a tornado, had a lightning bolt through the middle of it. was really a cool deal.
It's very common.
All right, Cody, you're in the hot seat today. You live in Oklahoma, but you hunt in Kansas, correct?
Yes, sir.
What do you think about Kansas's legislation for 2024 on no hunters hunting? I can't remember the exact dates, but it's like Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday or something.
It's 3 days a week, basically.
It's 3 days.
I want to say it's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is kind of what they want to do.
Okay, so that will be no. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
So over the last few days, I've kind of started reading into it, talking with my buddies that I hunt with up there, and I don't like it, of course. I like going up there and killing birds. We usually do pretty good up there, but if Oklahoma was to do that and it meant less people coming in here and more birds for me, I'd probably be okay with that, But with that being said, I feel like a lot of non-residents bring a lot of money to Kansas, buying all the licensing and staying in hotels and spending your money at the bars and restaurants and stuff. So I don't know how it could be a good thing for the state itself, but I don't know.
We had Sean Weaver on yesterday, and he was talking about it's going to disproportionately affect the public land hunters because now guys, they could, because it's only for public land in Kansas. So what somebody could potentially do is, book with an outfitter for the days that they can't hunt public land. So if you have an outfitter in Kansas, this could be a boom for your business because it's going to force people that can't otherwise hunt to go with an outfitter because the days aren't there to get on public land.
Right. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it could be a win for outfitters, but it's going to be a big blow to public land guys.
Yeah, and that's something that I didn't think about, how the outfitters could benefit from this for sure.
What's interesting is the state of Oklahoma, rumor is wanting to pass legislation starting in 2024, and I do not know how true this is. This could be complete, total bullshit, but an outfitter did send me this that knows some people, so he's pretty well connected because I know him very well, told me that they were wanting to pass legislation, no public or private hunting, but they want to stagger the days like Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something, or that you can't hunt on public or private.
Yeah, I have not heard that, but that definitely could be true.
And one of the days was a weekend. It was like a Thursday, Saturday, Monday or some shit. It was a weird deal, but that's what they were wanting to do to cut off any hunting on private land. I don't know how you could. Well, the state can do it, but that would be detrimental to the waterfowl outfitters in Oklahoma.
I agree. I completely agree. And the thing is, like, especially in Kansas, if they're doing the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday thing, a lot of the residents up there, they're hunting weekend warriors going out on Saturday and Sunday if they can, hunting public land. I wonder how that's going to really affect the birds getting hit so hard Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Are they going to be staying on those places like Jamestown and the Bottoms and all of that? Or are they going to find new places to go after all that pressure?
I would think if I was in the legislature in Kansas, I'd say, hold on, if we're really going to protect our taxpayers' hours are maximized to hunt Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So why don't we let the out-of-state guys hunt Monday through Thursday, and then the weekends can only be, the Friday, Saturday, and Sundays can only be state residents?
Yep, that makes total sense to me.
Or let's designate see, they can't touch Cheyenne because Cheyenne Bottoms is federal land, right? Well, they can if they won't let you have a license, though. I that to me would be the best way to maximize your locals is to let them hunt weekends only. No out-of-staters on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree.
One guy sent me a message and he said, listen, I got tons of friends of mine that live 5 minutes inside of Missouri in Kansas City. And he said, this is going to kill them guys because they do all their hunting in Kansas.
Yep. We hunt a lot in Oklahoma, of course, but we'll make, me and my buddy Eli, we'll make 4 or 5 trips up to Kansas a year. So it's definitely going to limit that. It's going to limit our snow goose action for sure.
You snow goose hunt on public land?
Private last year. We didn't get on any public last year. We did a lot of private snow goose hunting up there last year.
This is only going to affect
public land.
Oh yeah,
so
that's very
you
true.
Can still anybody and that's the thing with outfitters benefiting is that they're going to get, because guys can still hunt 7 days a week as long as they're on private or with an outfitter. So it's only going to be the public land.
So I know in Kansas you have to check in to the public land
Right.
on your phone or whatever. They have an app. Is that just going to make it to where if you're a non-resident you can't check in, or if you do check in it flags it, or how is that going to work? Because if you're able to hunt private, you still have to get your license and all the stuff that you
Right.
need. So how are they going to stop
That makes
you,
a lot of sense right there, because I hadn't thought about that. I mean, they're still selling license to out-of-staters for those days because you're hunting with an outfitter. Well,
Probably just not going to let you on public land is what I would bet. I bet you could still buy a license because you can buy. I mean, you could buy. I'm sure you just buy a season license, right? Is what you do whenever you hunt up there. So you're still going to be able to buy a season license, but whenever you go to hunt public land, there's going to be a check-in scenario where, wait a second, you got Oklahoma residents, you can't hunt today, is what I would guess.
Yeah.
You're still going to be able to buy a license.
yeah, but
There's going to be there's going to be a gatekeeper. There's going to be a bouncer at all public lands in Kansas and be like, you got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I don't know how
they
they're
make
gonna
you
do
check
that.
into public land.
Yes, sir. It's on the app, or you can go online to their website. But yeah, every piece of public land that you go on, if it's for hiking, if it's for hunting, taking pictures, working your dogs, doing whatever, you have to check into it. Yeah, and then when you leave, you check out, and you have to tell them how many birds you killed. If you killed a turkey, a deer, or whatever.
But the state or the federal government can't figure out a way to do that at Swan Lake for their hunters. That's really a good. I've never heard of that system before, and that makes a lot of sense. It's easy to keep up with what's harvested, and you know where your people are at all time. I'm assuming there's a stiff fine if you don't do that.
So we talked to a couple of old guys that live up there, and they said they've never been fined for it, but if they don't check in, they're definitely going to get talked to that day by a game warden or a ranger or something. But it is a great idea, I think, especially because if that game warden checks his phone and sees there's 5 people down there on Jamestown, he can look up those names, make sure they have their licensing, make sure they are all good to go, instead of coming down there hiking out into the marsh and bothering them, messing up their hunt to check their licenses and stuff like that.
That's badass.
So I really like the idea.
Yeah, that's badass. I think it's going to make Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Missouri, Arkansas even busier, is what I think. That's the unintended consequence that I see coming down the road.
Well, them states are going to follow suit pretty quick too.
Think so?
I think it's going to be that way.
If this goes through?
Yeah, they're going to all get a lot of pressure because the people in Nebraska, their locals will be like, whoa, hold on now. We're getting all this influx of everybody from everywhere here. You're going to protect us.
Right.
And you're going to, here's the thing. You don't have any representation if you're out of state on state laws.
No.
There's none.
Nor should you.
No, I agree with you. If you're from Nebraska, in Texas, we don't have public land here in Texas, so it's a moot point with us. There's not much of it here. I don't care one way or the other if you do it. But I would hate for the state to come in and say we're going to regulate how many days an out-of-state waterfowl hunter can come and hunt private land.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
And I don't understand why Oklahoma is wanting to throw the private land into there also, if that's true. I don't understand where they get it, what gain they get out of that.
Yeah, that's I really don't understand either, because like I said, it's people coming in from out of state, buying the licenses, staying here for a week at a time or whatever. It's only helping the state. It's bringing more commerce into the state. So I don't know how it could help.
Is there ever anything that you're like, oh, that's a good idea?
Not if the government's
That's a good
involved.
idea the government had.
No.
So, I mean, like, this is just kind of standard practice. There's not much that happens. You're like, I got it.
No, I'm trying to think right now of what laws we have federal that are really good, or state. And, I think I think drinking age at 21 is a good rule. I think that that's probably about the only one I can think of. Voting age should be like 35.
Not in California.
Huh?
Californians, it's got to pass one more branch, but if you're 12, you can now leave your home because if your parents deny your transition.
What's that got to do with voting?
It's just another one of those laws. It's a good idea. 12-year-olds are smart enough. They can figure it out.
So a 12-year-old kid,
if a parent says you're mistaken, you're your gender or whatever, that kid can go to a counselor if it passes the assembly And Newsom's already said that once it does that, he's signing it into law. Go to your counselor, say, you know, I feel like I'm a boy, but I feel like a girl. My parents said, no, you're just stupid. State can then come in and take your kid without you even knowing anything was going on. It's got to pass one more branch, but it's almost a lock.
This shit's going to continue until real people with a spine and balls start doing something about this shit. These people are making these laws.
I would be leaving California.
Yeah, it's stupid shit. People are leaving California, mass exodus.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Quicker.
A lot of them.
The thing that's sad is in our country, historically, in the last 60, 70 years, shit goes to California and becomes normal, then it goes everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every social fucked up deal we have started in California, it seems like.
Just wait until Biden gets the Democratic nomination. Or Newsom, I'm sorry.
So Andy's on record right now that Gavin Newsom is going to be the Democratic nomination.
Biden's backing out.
What about Kennedy?
No, it's not going to happen.
So they're not going to even have a primary vote?
They will, but it's not.
So they're going to cheat, you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's going to be Newsom.
So you don't think Newsom could beat Kennedy in the primary?
That's what's going to happen.
I am the furthest from political, so I can't toss it.
But it's just more of that good government, you know? Government's always got our back.
Yeah.
Everything they do, it's always for our betterment.
As someone that's not political, then I have a question for you.
Okay.
You don't pay any attention to politics at all?
Very little. Very little.
But
You're a better man for it.
Yeah, I would think that would relieve you of a lot of unwanted stress. But don't you worry about the direction our country's headed? Or do you not worry about that?
No, absolutely I do. I have the philosophy that what is me worrying about it going to do? What if I start watching the news? What is that going to change? You know, I'm absolutely worried about having kids in the future and what world they might grow up in. But there's not much that I can do for it. You know,
you are in Oklahoma, so
you live in the reddest state in the country.
You'll be the last. You'll be the last.
Absolutely.
You'll hear about it everywhere
I sure
else,
hope so.
and then you can start panicking.
Y'all somehow managed to keep Tulsa and Oklahoma City upright.
You know, Tulsa is the scary one. I don't know how we've kept them, but yeah, we have. All was it 77 counties, I think.
Even the ghetto of Lawton was.
Yeah, Lawton is that's Lawton's
That's the
else.
slimiest city I think I've ever been to that I've spent much time at.
What's
in my
worse,
life.
Lawton or Tulsa?
Shawnee. Shawnee is, I think, a couple of years ago, per capita, the most dangerous city in
Really?
Shawnee, Oklahoma.
How many people are in Shawnee, Oklahoma
absolutely.
that can make it this dangerous?
35,000, 30,000
Oh.
maybe.
So is it the ghetto of Oklahoma City? Is that what you're saying now?
Yeah, it's terrible. So I'm a paramedic. I work here in Shawnee and all of Pottawatomie County on the ambulance, and it's rough every single day. A lot of gang activity, a lot of violence, a lot of drugs.
What is? I mean, is it? How far outside Oklahoma City are you guys?
It's in Oklahoma City.
In Oklahoma City, 45 minutes east of downtown.
Well, it's about 30. Yeah, 30,
I mean,
45
it's part of the
minutes east.
metro area, though. You don't realize you're going
absolutely.
into Shawnee. Pottawatomie County had the or however the hell you say it, had the best Facebook post the other day. It's hot outside. It's supposed to be 110 degrees. We advise you to stay indoors until November 2nd.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And they are right. It has been hot.
It's pretty warm. We're only supposed to be 91 on Saturday. The chance of rain. Yeah.
Really?
So y'all will probably be in the 80s on Saturday then.
I sure hope so.
Where is is it the Redbird Casino? Thunderbird Casino. What town is that in?
So we have a Thunderbird in Shawnee, and I think there's
That's
another
the
one.
That's
east
the
of
one I've
Norman.
been to. The one in Shawnee. Woo, ghetto city, boy. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. If you don't have all your teeth, they give you a few when you walk in the door. It's horrible. I used to say about Target all the time. If you see a man in Target, he's on a date with another man, and they pass out tampons at the door. But Target's killed themselves now. So,
So how do you make?
I try to stay out
How
of
do
it
you
best I
make
can.
your hunting schedule work with being a paramedic? Do you stack up your days?
Oh man, so I work 24-hour shifts, and we actually just went to a new schedule in February where I work 8 days a month. I work 6 24s and 2 12s, So I'll work every other Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and then back half of a Monday. And so that gives me plenty of time off to go do whatever. Good buddy of mine's a fire guy, so he works a similar schedule, gets a lot of time off. But yeah, they used to rotate in the past. They kind of rotated days. But if I take off for 2 or 3 shifts, I'm off for 3 weeks.
Right.
You know,
because that's what Ron would do, wasn't it? He would trade and save and.
Yeah, Dad would go to work maybe Halloween and go back to work on Valentine's Day, maybe.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I could take off for 4 or 5 months if I wanted to.
Dad
probably.
Dad had enough time built up too that he didn't have to work the last, I think, 10 or 11 months. Didn't even go to work one day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Do they still let y'all do that?
I imagine they would.
Can y'all swap?
Sure.
You can swap days though, no problem.
Yes, sir.
Because I think the way it is in some industries, you can't take off. There's a certain amount of days that you can take off. That way, you can't,
Be gone 6 months.
we'll have a year of retirement and then be like, deuces, bitch, and then not work that whole last year but get paid. But
do y'all work?
I worked for a really, really good service, so I think they'd probably let an old timer do that.
Are y'all at 48 and 96? Or y'all 24 48?
So 24 on. So Wednesday's a 24, on for 24 then, off Thursday, go back in Friday for a 24, off Saturday, back in Sunday, and then a back half on Monday. So like 7P to 7A Monday.
See, Dad and them was 24 and 48. And one of the Metroplex I saw the other day, they were on 48 and 96. So you work 2 days and off 4. And that would be wonderful. Yeah, my buddy Eli, he's a Will Rogers firefighter over there at the airport, and that's what they do. That would be the best job, I think, would be if you're going to be a fireman, it's to be at one of the big airports. I mean, honestly, how many fucking fires do you go to? One a year? They do more training, and they do medical calls in the airport. There are a lot of fuckers at the airport that need medical help all the time. Yes, there are.
Have you ran across any of this trank in your time being? Yeah, it's called trank. It's a new drug. They're mixing
fentanyl and
horse tranquilizer, but they say Narcan doesn't affect it. It can't pull you back.
Yeah, because of the tranquilizer.
So I didn't know if you'd seen any of that or had any experience.
I haven't. We fentanyl is bad right now. People, buying weed with fentanyl in it or Percocets with fentanyl in it.
Why are people buying weed? Why are people not going to the dispensary in Oklahoma anymore?
Because they don't have medical.
It's not hard to get a medical card, I can't imagine. I'm not from Oklahoma, but I think you can say that your pinky is a little swollen and you get a card.
You can do a Skype call. You can do a Skype call with a doctor and tell them that you're depressed or anxious or whatever, and they'll write you a medical card.
Why anybody would buy weed off of the street in a state that's medical or recreational makes 0 sense to me. Because of fentanyl.
I have no idea. I ran across that scenario last night at work, as a matter of fact. I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. I don't know how it works. I don't know.
How many Narcans, how many times have you done Narcan? 100 times probably?
Oh yeah.
What's your percentages of people that have survived you've given Narcan
to? Very high. It works very well as long as you can get there in an appropriate amount of time before they're in a cardiac arrest.
How many times have you had someone get pissed off at you for saving their life on Narcan?
More than 50%.
That's crazy.
For sure.
I've also heard you better have your hands up whenever you deliver, right after you deliver this, because some of them come up swinging.
They absolutely will. Yeah, you better be ready. And they'll come up vomiting and shitting all over themselves and everything else.
Andy would not make a good ambulance guy.
No, I would not. No, there is no way. I am not putting up with that bullshit.
What is the weirdest call you've ever been on?
Oh man, there's a lot of them here.
We are in the ghetto of Oklahoma, so we got a lot to choose from.
There is a lot of it. And Shawnee is bad, and South Pot County is worse.
Where's South Pot County?
And it's just so like Tecumseh, Asher, Wanette, Macomb, a bunch of little bitty towns
south of where he lives at. Okay. South of Oklahoma City.
South of Shawnee.
Okay. Southeast side of Oklahoma City.
But it's still a suburb. It's still considered like a suburb of Oklahoma City.
I wouldn't consider South Park County a suburb. It's
Okay.
very rural, very, very.
Oh.
We were
backwoods.
tornado chasing the other day.
I didn't go.
So what did what's the weirdest shit you've ever seen?
So just, I don't know about weird, but a good funny one here. Ran once again an overdose, and it was in a camper parked out on some land. And the fire department had got there before us. They wrapped the guy up in the sheets that he was laying on and brought him out to my stretcher. We gave Narcan. He started waking up. We threw the sheets back so that we could get all of our monitor and stuff on him. And there's a big, about a 10-inch white dildo sitting in his lap. And he was butt naked. and I didn't want to know what he was doing with that in there, but we thought it'd be funny to just cover it back up with the sheets and take him into the hospital that way. And the nurses did not think it was near as funny as we did.
I had a cop hunt with me years and years ago out of Arlington, and I asked him the same question because I always like to talk to police officers and ambulance guys and firemen because y'all see shit at 2:00 in the morning nobody else ever sees. And I asked him, I go, "What's the weirdest call you ever did?" He said, "Well, there's two. There's a shrimping one, but I'm not going to do that one." Anyways, he tells me he gets a call that a guy had been shot or stabbed in the back of there used to be a nightclub right outside of the old Texas Rangers Stadium in the 80s, and I can't remember the Baja Club or something. Anyways, it was the place to go to. Anyways, like shooting or stabbing there, and he gets a car, and this guy is in the back seat, and he's laying face down, and his whole back and rear end and legs are just covered in blood. And he said, first thing I want to do is ask him who did it in case he dies and bleeds to death. At least I can get a name maybe. Do you know who did this? He goes, yeah, just some random guy. He goes, did he shoot you or stab you? No, man. I go, what's wrong? The guy was shoving a glass baby bottle up the guy's butt, and it broke off and it severed inside of him and cut him up and bleed.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that, but I've heard of plenty of those. Another kind of a weird one here. It's been a couple of years ago. I was a brand new paramedic. Ran a gunshot wound to the chest. A guy died. We worked him, took him into the ER. And like 2 hours later, they get another call at the same address for a gunshot wound to the abdomen. Like, what the hell's going on here, And so another crew goes out there. I talked to them afterwards, and they said that the guy's girlfriend, who was there on scene whenever I was there, who I spoke with, she gave me the story. She was a big girl, real big. She had been shot in her right love handle and did not know it until she started having pain in her abdomen about 2 hours later. Yeah, I spoke with her, had a conversation with her, and she had no idea.
Shot.
Went through him and into her. I guess.
My dad ran a call, and this is probably the funniest call he ever did. They got a call for a lady having a baby, and it was on the poor side of town. They pull up, and this black gentleman's on the outside of the deal, and he's waving down the fire department. He's like, "Oh, thank God y'all are in here. My daughter, she's fixing to have a baby. Y'all go inside, please, help her." So they go inside, and they said the ambulance will be right behind us. He said, "Okay, I'll wave them down and take them inside." And they go inside, and this lady answered, "Oh my God, you're here." And they said, "Ma'am, just sit down." And they threw her back on the love seat, and they pulled her dress up, and they pulled her panties off, and they were like, "Okay, she's dilated to 4." And the ambulance pulls up, and her husband come in. What's going on? I said, "She's dilated to 4." He said, No, that's my wife. My daughter's in the back of the house. Today there would be such a lawsuit on that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta love firefighters.
She's like, "Oh, mercy, Lordy. Name you're a 4.
Have you had to deliver a baby yet?
I got really close yesterday. Once again, we have a local women's prison here, and I don't know for a fact, but we all think that they just get knocked up so that they get some time away from the prison, And we run childbirths and pregnancies out there daily.
At the women's prison.
And
how does that work? Do they
at the women's prison?
A special cell with how does it work? Like after
you
have the baby, do you get like a special cell or halfway house?
Take the baby away.
Either baby will go to the state or family. But this particular lady, she was on her 9th pregnancy, and and she had delivered all 8 previous. And she was having contractions, and I just knew for sure that she was going to have it right there in the ambulance, but she didn't. Thankfully,
she's had 8 other kids while she was in prison.
Mm-hmm. That I don't know.
But how do you have 8 fucking kids and have time to fuck up bad enough to go to prison?
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
I mean, Jesus.
I imagine her family's not happy with her. I'm sure pawning off all them kids.
What do you
them.
think the odds are right now? Right now, I'm asking both of you. The odds are one guy's the father of all 9 of those kids.
0.
1%.
You're going 1. I'm going
very low.
I'm going less than 0 even.
Going one guy? Yeah, not happening.
No.
Not happening.
Shoot, my baby mama got 9 of my babies.
Yeah, I've always, because, we live out here in the boondocks, so it's an hour and a half drive, and I've had 2 kids, but with both of them, I was like, oh, please, like, let's just get to the hospital.
Would you sell your vehicle right away if Jesse would have had a kid in the car?
Yeah, you'd have to, right?
What's that stain? It's after birth.
Don't worry about it. But my brother, he's a paramedic, and he says, delivering a baby is no problem. We've been doing it for millions of years. You just let the body take over. But still, there's something about it. Like,
You got to boil water.
you got to boil water.
That's what they always, all the old shows, boil water. I've never understood why you got to boil water for a baby to be born, but I guess the noise or something makes them have the baby.
It's a natural thing. It's supposed to work naturally, and it does until it doesn't.
Exactly.
And
I
until a leg pokes
Right.
out or something
shit.
first, and then that's a problem.
Yeah. See, and I don't want that. And with my oldest, his umbilical cord was actually wrapped around his neck, so he was out of slack basically. So like they had to like reposition him several times, and
Yep. Really scary stuff. Yeah.
we were close. They were close to going in. Luckily, they didn't.
Really. The boiling water thing, it might be the same thing, it might be different, but I've always heard that whenever the old timer paramedics are on scene and they've got the hectic husband that's freaking out, they'll tell him to go boil water just to get him away and get him doing
Maybe that's
something
what it
else.
is, but every time you watch an old movie and like, oh, she's fixing to have a baby, start boiling some water.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
You
the
gonna throw
thing
that
or
hot
not.
water on her ass and make her shoot that some bitch out? What's going on
If
here?
Andy Griffith can do it, I'm confident that I could do it, but I just don't want. I just don't want to have to
absolutely.
do it.
It's
It's
easy until it's not.
It's easy until it's not.
I don't want to see a baby born at all. There's nothing. I mean, that'd be like watching a kid watch Disney World burn down. You don't want to see that.
It definitely decreases your appetite for a while, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So what in Kansas? What makes you go up there? Because you're not. You're in a pretty good area in Oklahoma. Do you just have better land setups in Kansas, or how's that all work out?
So honestly, the public land, Oklahoma has not very much public land. Compared to Texas, obviously we have a shit ton, but we really don't have much, especially around where I live. I have to drive 2-3 hours west, 4 hours northwest, something like that, to get on some good public land. Kansas, the state of Kansas, manages their public hunting land very well. Even for dove, they plant sunflower fields and they go mow strips through them, and they just manage all of their land really well. That's something that Oklahoma does not do whatsoever. We have a couple of spots of good waterfowl habitat that they used to flooded timber, and they would flood corn and stuff like that. And for the last few years, the pumps have been broken. Is what they're saying. So I think that they did end up flooding one last season, just a small puddle last season. But yeah, the state of Oklahoma is not very good when it comes to public land management.
Back in the day, and I don't know if they do it anymore, but back in the probably late 90s, early 2000s, the state of Oklahoma or Texas, I don't know which one did it because it's a border place, but they used to plant millet at Lake Texoma on all the flats back there. They used to take a plane and go by and spray it all out of a plane. I don't know if they do that anymore.
Yeah, so up north, Call Lake up in Ponca City, they used to do the same thing. They would go plant all the mud banks in the summertime, and duck hunting was really good up there. And then probably, I don't know, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, they stopped doing that. And I don't know why.
I don't know if it's become a funding issue. I just don't know. It would be nice if they took all the dollars raised by hunters and put them into the use to replenish whatever it is. Same with fishing license. If you sell fishing license, put it back into the fisheries. If you sell hunting, but we build more freaking shit for the granola crunchers and bunny huggers than we do the hunters and the fishermen.
Absolutely. And I don't think there's very many suits up there in the Capitol that care about flooded timber or millet covered banks.
We talked about this yesterday too. There's not very many politicians that are outdoorsmen. They call themselves outdoorsmen if they go walk on the Appalachian Trail, but people that hunt and fish and
Yeah.
you know. I'll bet you if you shot a deer today and you dropped its ass off in Congress and you had to have one of them worthless pricks have to clean that son of a bitch, that fucker would not get cleaned. I don't think there's one of them up there knows how to field dress an animal.
I bet they wouldn't even know it wasn't even, if you shot it today, they wouldn't even know that it wasn't in season.
Most of them wouldn't. Yeah,
just be
Probably
like,
not.
Yeah.
Well, when you watch Hollywood, this gets me, and you're a waterfowler, and this probably bothers you too. You can watch a TV show, and there'll be a flock of geese fly by, and they'll have fucking mallards chattering on the sound, or ducks will be there, and there'll be geese honking and shit. And I'm like, is there nobody on the fucking set that knows what the hell that is?
Yeah, hire me. I'll tell you what they sound like.
But I was watching an older movie the other day when people still did hunt.
And it was wrong then.
It might have been Jeremiah Johnson or one of them. They had some geese flying by here. It's a fucking mallard. Just ruins the whole thing fucking for me, you know. The Indians mooning each other didn't bother me, but the fucking fact that they got the wrong duck on a goose, it bothered me. That is a great movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
You've never seen Jeremiah Johnson
with
Robert Redford? Oh, that's a great. That and The Mountain Men are two great movies.
Yeah. Jeremiah Johnson, good movie.
Great movie. You know, a lot of his that scene where he hides out in the beaver dam, that supposedly really happened to Liver Eaton Johnson.
Mountain Men or Mountain Man?
Really?
Mountain Men. And that's got Brian Keith and Uncle Jesse from Uncle Jesse's in Jeremiah Johnson. It's Charlton Heston, and Brian Keith are in Mountain Men. It's a great movie.
But you were saying something about them hiding in a cave?
In Jeremiah Johnson, the Indians are after him, and he jumps in the river, fights him, jumps in the river, and he swims up under a beaver dam and stays underwater in the beaver dam and stays there for an hour or so, and then swims away when the Indians, they think he drowned, and they leave him.
Oh, that was smart of him.
But that is supposed to be a true tale of Liver Eaton Johnson, Liver Eaton Johnson was a mountain man whose wife and kid were killed by the Indians. So he would go kill Indians. He'd cut their livers out and eat them. And they called him Liver Eaton Johnson. And supposedly that's what he did. He escaped and got back. I think The Revenant is also part of Liver Eaton Johnson, didn't it? Or is that another famous?
No, that's another guy.
Billy.
No. I can't think of him off the top of my head, but.
And I might have got my stories.
The Revenant has nothing to do with Liver Eaton Johnson.
No, what's the Revenant guy's name?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, fuck that. Ain't Leonardo. That's another little cocksucker I'm not worried about. That's what
I'm saying. I can't remember the character's name.
You got a damn computer in front of you.
Well, I'm trying to figure out Liver Eaton Johnson.
Okay. Anyways, that story might have been I think the guy's name was Billy something. Anyways, the guy that from The Revenant, that might have been the story about him. One of them got up under the beaver hut.
Hugh Glass.
Google says
Hugh Glass is the guy's name. And he might have been the one that one of the two characters though in real life did do that same thing underneath got up under a beaver dam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd never heard that. I never heard that was a true thing. I'd never heard of Liver Eaton Johnson, really.
I've got all kinds of fun facts. I was wrong on Brad Pitt today, though.
I thought I had heard that, it says that he scalped more than 300 Crow Indians, then devoured their livers.
Liver Eaton Johnson?
Yeah.
He was a bad mofo.
To avenge the death of his wife. But I had heard that this was all bullshit. This was not a true story.
It's on the internet. It can't be false.
Well.
Somebody needs to make a movie about him.
I thought that they did.
Liver Eaton, no. They used that part of his story, if it's true or not, about up under the beaver hut. And when they filmed Jeremiah Johnson, he did that.
Oh.
And I'm assuming they stole it from the Liver Eaton Johnson story. An old mountain man told me about Liver Eaton Johnson when I was a kid. Used to go do all the reenactments and go do all the stuff. And you know, most of those guys that do that, they really enjoy that part, but they like to go take a hot shower after about 4 or 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tough life. We went through a big castle on the other day when we was in upstate New York. And I was telling my grandkids, they were in the room, and my granddaughter's like, "Oh, look at that vanity. That's beautiful. I wish I had that." I said, "Let me tell you something. The little girl that lived in this room had everything that she wanted. Her daddy was a multimillionaire in 1900, which is like being a billionaire today. The best of everything. And I'm telling you right now, your room that you have in Haskell, Texas, is 1,000 times more comforting than that deal that little girl had in."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people say that, I was born 100 years too late. I don't think they really understand how shitty it was 100
They like
years
the
ago.
romantic side of 100 years ago. They don't like the fact that if it's 110 outside, the best thing that you can possibly do is maybe dig a hut next to a river and it'll be 97 in whatever mud hut that you build up. Or conversely, if it's 15 below, you better have that firewood ready.
It was easier to stay warm than it was cool back then.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it was. Those
everywhere's going to be hot.
Those old cabins had low roofs on them and stuff, so the heat would stay. I mean, you could in the wintertime, if you had firewood and had a fireplace, you could at least stay comfortable. But the summer times were miserable. And if you look at those pictures of those people during the Dust Bowl days in the 30s, them fucking houses, they didn't have sheetrock, they didn't have insulation, they had gaps between them all the time. So all that dust and shit, that to me would have been one of the worst times to live on the plains during the Dust Bowl. Had to be absolutely miserable.
Yep, absolutely. That's when a lot of us went to California. That's why there's a lot of Okies out there in Cali.
Lots of truth to that right there. Matter of fact, I've got some clients of mine that live in California that were raised outside of Tulsa.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here that have a lot of family in California.
Let's say they weren't raised there. Their dad, the Harts.
And they just said, to hell with it, we're going to California?
Yeah, Dad was a postmaster in a small town like Stringtown, Oklahoma or something. Oklahoma had some communities that were predominantly black communities. Is it Bowlegs? Is that the name of it?
Bowley is one of them.
And that was predominantly just a black community. And people like the Harts, I think their dad was a postmaster, and I think Stringtown might have been predominantly a black town. Somebody from Stringtown is going to call me and tell me no, and that's good. But there were a lot of small towns in Oklahoma that were basically just black communities, and those people moved in the Harts. They moved to California, and they went to Watts, and his dad was a postmaster in Watts.
There's a lot of those little towns still, and they're still the same way. Bowley, Brooksville's just south of me, 20 minutes, and they're still there. And still
one of them has an all-black rodeo still.
Bowley.
Ed lived close to there.
Yep. Spencer's another big one.
Yeah, I do remember him talking about Bowley.
Yep.
Huh. Yeah, it makes sense now. What you said that Kansas will plant places for dove hunting for people that are land hunters? I didn't know that.
Yep, that's absolutely. Yep, they'll plant sunflowers and wheat, and they'll go through with a brush hog and just mow down strips.
Really?
Yep, just for dove. Wow. Yep.
I've never heard of that. I wonder what other states go above and beyond for dove hunting.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the pheasant too. Pheasant is a big thing up in Kansas. It seems like I run into way more pheasant hunters than I do waterfowl hunters when I'm up there. Resident and non-resident, yeah. And a lot of the residents, they don't care to hunt ducks and geese, really, it seems like. They farm and they kill a few pheasant, and that's about it.
Is the pheasant population really good there in Kansas, or is it kind of up and down with the drought?
That's, from what I've heard, it's down pretty big. I haven't done a whole lot of pheasant hunting up there. I did a little bit last year. The population of people hunting them was not down. It was jam-packed everywhere you went. But I have heard that the pheasant population is down up there, just like it is here in Oklahoma.
Do y'all have wild pheasants in Oklahoma? I didn't know that.
We do. Yeah, up northwest, up towards the Panhandle, up in that area.
Okay, kind of where it meets Kansas and everything. That makes sense then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if because where did we go? We went to North Dakota, where there were pheasant hunters everywhere.
Well, no. There were in North Dakota, but South Dakota was loaded. We went through winter South Dakota.
There were pheasant hunters in North Dakota.
There was, but South Dakota, it was opening weekend too.
Oh.
And it was packed with people. But it's like that all the time. But I don't think Kansas hasn't had a good pheasant crop in the last couple of years, have they?
That's I couldn't speak on that. I'm not too experienced with that. But from what I understand from people I know that have been up there a bunch, their pheasant population has gone down to the point that a lot of people that live there are raising their own pheasants and releasing them.
Release pheasant hunts. The guy we get our birds from supplies a lot of outfitters in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Kansas. Same birds, great flying birds, and he does a great job. But they're giving the same birds to me or going to those places. And it's funny, I'll have a guy call me, oh, we hunt with an outfitter so-and-so. We just hunt wild birds. You may be hunting just wild birds, but I got bad news for you. A lot of those are supplemented birds. You can't hunt 1,000 acres of CRP and hunt year round or for 3 months and think you're going to go shooting birds in January and you're shooting wild birds and there's plenty of birds without them doing some supplementing.
On the same 50 acres
absolutely.
that they started in September.
Yes.
Or October.
Though there's not the birds. It's crazy though. When you get to North Dakota and South Dakota, the first time I went there, I was absolutely amazed at the number of pheasants because I'd never been anywhere with wild pheasants. And I mean, you drive by a field and there'll be 200 or 300 sometimes sitting there eating around the edge of the trees. And you're like, God almighty. So there are some places that have a lot of birds, but you can't hunt that many hunters every day and still be shooting wild birds.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's really common to drive through just a small podunk town up in Kansas and have 2 or 3 aviaries or nets or whatever they call them set up with, a couple thousand pheasants in there that they'll just release to the wild to kind of supplement the population, which good on them.
We had a guy that worked for us that worked in South Dakota at a real high. They weren't a public outfitter though. They were a guy out of a big city in the Midwest. I'm not going to say his name because his people don't know that they're releasing, but owned a big concrete company, and he would bring people to his ranch or farm in South Dakota, a nice place, had fancy lodge, and he would treat his clients all year long. He enough that he hired 2 guides that worked for him full time, and they would put out pheasants, but they had grain bins, and their nets were decked behind it in an area where nobody could get into, so nobody knew it. Those people would come there and thinking they were shooting wild pheasants. He goes, we'd put the birds out at 5 or 6 in the morning, like when it was still dark. Then we'd wake them up and have breakfast, and we'd go hunt, and they never knew that the birds were ever released. But they weren't selling hunts; they were just giving hunts to their clients.
Yeah.
The old bait and switch. So, are you? It's a complicated issue in Kansas, but would you say that you are totally against it, totally for it, somewhere in the middle? Like, where do you fall on this?
I'm somewhere in the middle. I get it. If I lived in Kansas and I seen kids from Oklahoma coming up there and whooping my ass, killing the birds all the time, I'd probably want them to stay out also. But I also like to go to Kansas and hunt a lot, so I'm definitely somewhere in the middle. I'm still going to go kill birds in Kansas. I'm still going to kill birds in Oklahoma, and who knows where else. So are you saying
that Oklahoma hunters are better than Kansas hunters, and that's why all of this got started?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty objective thing. Yeah, I think we are. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know that Southern hunters are better than Northern hunters. It's just
absolutely.
When you factor in pressure and everything else, I hate to tell you, but the guys from the South they got a couple more tricks up their sleeve than the guys in the Northern land. That's gonna piss
you're gonna
piss a lot of people off. It's gonna piss a lot of people off. I understand. It's it's hard to hear.
So it's hard to hear that you think Southern waterfowl hunters are better than Northern waterfowl hunters?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the pressure.
Well,
we're hunting birds that are at the end of everything.
I would agree. Our birds are under more pressure because they've been shot at before.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yes, so I would agree with that aspect. I don't know if you could say they're better hunters though.
Why?
I don't know how you can judge that one way or the other.
You don't know how to judge a good hunter?
I think a guy that hunts up in Ohio or Indiana and is hunting public land that's got 5,000 fucking other people around him is a pretty damn good hunter to kill birds.
He is a good hunter.
What about the guy who's just shooting local geese? You say them fucking big bastards are hard to hunt.
Well, but
well, no, you went out on a limb here. I'm just giving you some instances.
What do you mean?
Well, what about the guy? I
don't understand your instance.
What about the guy in upstate New York that's hunting just local birds that everybody in the area is hunting the same ones?
Have you seen the clips that came out of upstate New York?
I've seen the clips from down here. It looks pretty damn easy some days.
Oh, it's super easy. The limit's 15.
That's
it's
just
like 15
we're better
in
down
New York,
here.
I think.
Yeah, how hard was the 5-bird limit some days?
Not hard enough if they're going to give you 15 of the fuckers.
So you're telling me if you're hunting small geese in the South as a Southern guide and you're on the X, that it's hard hunting? Sometimes. Is that what you're saying? Sometimes.
There's times.
Yeah, but it's not hard at all usually when you're on the X, is it, with the little birds? So I've thrown a real wrench in your argument here.
No, you haven't thrown any wrench in my
argument. Going with the Northern hunter.
Is better than a Southern hunter?
I don't know if he's better. I don't know how you can judge either one of them, but I'm just telling you those Northern guys that are hunting public water are dealing with a bunch of other good hunters that are around. Now, I'm not saying the guy that's hunting in East Texas or Louisiana on public water or Arkansas They're dealing with public way. It's hard hunting. You're dealing with birds that get shot all the time. Fuck, we've taken the mallard duck and we've made him almost nocturnal.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree on that, Cody?
Absolutely, I would.
I
Yes,
mean,
sir. Absolutely.
We've changed that whole duck in 50 years.
Yep, absolutely. What kind of on that topic, what do you guys think about the flyway shifting east? I keep hearing that. What do you guys think?
I think it's a food source more than anything. We had a drought in the Midwest for a while in the mid 2000s, and those birds, a lot of them shifted with the food sources. I think we'll see a change of that. They'll shift back, or farming practices will change. You know, right now they're just going crazy with rice in Arkansas, and I know they've planted rice for a long time, but I think their rice production now is higher there. You're going to see some things change where that'll change again. California, their water situation the way it is and stuff. Are you going to see those birds shift east also? You know, if they switch a lot of them to the Central Flyway, the rice production on the Texas coast is basically gone now. Louisiana's went to corn. What do they plant down in Louisiana all the time? It's lost my mind. Sugar cane. And they you know, if they get away from the sugar cane and some of that changes, so I think it's all cyclical. I think it's like our weather. You know, I think we're in a weather pattern right now. It's funny, they're talking about this global warming now is why it's 110 degrees. No, it's 110 degrees because it's fucking summertime in Texas. I mean,
it's been 110 degrees in June every year.
I mean,
for
we've
my
had
entire
some
life
years
in
where it's
Oklahoma.
been cooler than normal, but it's not. Well, we're fixing to start cooling off again next week. Maybe we're going to get into 6 weeks of below average temperatures. It's just weather. And it's going to change. What's going to change more than anything is one of these years we're going to have a fucking winter again. Don't know when it'll be. And I hope in my lifetime I see it again. But when we do have a winter like we had in the 70s, it's going to change a lot of the people that are bitching about the flooded corn. That's going to change. If it gets cold and we get a bunch of snow and it starts snowing at Halloween and it snows all the way till Valentine's Day, you're going to see a lot of those birds are going to fucking go south like they used to.
Yep, absolutely.
And it can't be just one big Arctic blast like we've got in the last 2 years and then nothing else. It's got to be an Arctic blast with snow and then another Arctic blast, another Arctic blast, and keep getting winds out of the north and that snow where it doesn't go away. But how old are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
26 years old.
26.
You've never ever seen a long-term winter unless other maybe when you were a little kid, basically.
No, I remember one of the first years I was duck hunting. I was 8, 9 years old. We had a stretch there for about 2 weeks where it was, negative single-digit temperatures, ice everywhere, and that was the worst winter I've ever seen.
And that was a normal winter in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, I think. And we've had some ups and downs, but if we ever get into that again, I mean, it used to be snow coverage from basically the Oklahoma Kansas border all the way to the Arctic Circle. Every year it would be white for predominantly all your Thanksgiving to Christmas, January, it was all solid white. We haven't had that in years. I mean, we get 2 weeks of snow or a week of snow, 10 days, and then it's gone away. I mean, fuck, last year Buffalo had 100 inches of snow in 2 or 3 days. People had pictures that they couldn't even open their back doors over the roof. Fuck, they had and I think that happened in November. In January 3rd, the same people took pictures of their backyard and it was brown. I mean, that snow all went away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it seems like we're just like what you're saying here in Oklahoma. We get a couple days where we get a stiff north wind and the temperatures drop 20, 30 degrees, and that's a good day or a good few days for us, and then it just goes right back to a south wind and 65 degrees in December.
Since you live around Oklahoma City and you do hunt some public around Oklahoma City, right?
Not so much right around Oklahoma City. A lot of our stuff's northwest. I will go a little bit east to like around Eufaula. But as far as public land, there's not much around Oklahoma City. There's a couple draw lakes and some stuff up around Stillwater.
Lake up around Stillwater. It don't hold the birds it did a couple of years ago. It's still holding birds like it did.
No, sir. No. It still holds birds for sure, but nothing like it was whenever I was a little kid when they were planting that millet.
And that Enid area is the hot spot now where everybody wants to go hunt.
Yep, absolutely. Enid north all the way up north to Great
Alva, Jet, all that area up there. That area 15 years ago, there wasn't even an outfitter up there, was there?
No, and that's me being the little guy. Like it's usually just me and my one buddy. I'm a paramedic. He's a firefighter. We're damn sure not rich. It's hard to compete with outfitters and with a lot of those guys that are out there leasing.
And there was a
land,
place over there leased years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just saw we were talking about the extreme heat. 43. So there's been, countless times. 43 years ago, it hit 113 in Dallas. The 1980 heat wave, 1934, 1954, 2011 were all much worse for Texas. And this year, 75% of the nation is cooler than normal. So put that in your climate change pipe and smoke it.
I'm not a weather guy, Jeff, but they say that we're in El Nino now. Is that correct?
Cold and wet.
Okay. Does that play a factor
That
on?
is
Okay,
good,
so that's what that is.
potentially for duck hunters.
I've seen I saw some stats on the last 5 El Ninos, and 3 of them were really, really favorable for us, and 2 of them didn't really change the pendulum much. But 3 of them were very extreme back to winters, really, really wet, cold, be a lot of sheet water and stuff, and we need that. We need a regular.
Absolutely.
We need a winter. And it's crazy. I never
Absolutely.
even heard of an El Nino till like 1998, 97, 98. I never even heard of that term before.
Well, that was the first year they ever had it, Joe.
Yeah,
They never had it before then, you don't think?
Never.
But yeah, we're supposed to have we're supposed to also have a very violent tornado year coming in all the way through.
Tornado season's over.
It is, but it's not. They said we're going to have tornadic weather all the way up until the new year this year, probably.
Really?
Yeah, I think last year in maybe September, October, we had a couple tornadoes around here. Yeah, and it's this year's looking pretty rough. We've had a lot of tornadoes. We had one hit Shawnee in April, a pretty good one, and that's the first time in my life that Shawnee has actually been hit in the main part of Shawnee.
The Matador, them poor people there got just rocked the other day, and we had bad weather. But we had a thunderstorm the other day when we were upstate New York, and I always looked away. I'm like, damn, we need some rain. We miss it. Well, we were blessed not to get that storm. And 100-mile-an-hour winds with it, just the straight line winds. Well, that'll tear shit up big time. And
yeah, I think it might have been that same one went through Tulsa, that area. And they got a lot of rain. And yeah, the straight line winds, that's what we get a lot of, 60, 80, 100-mile-an-hour winds. It might not be a tornado, but
that 100-mile-an-hour straight line winds will rip some shit up. But we need to get the water we need, we have to have severe weather to go with it. You don't get April showers and get 8 inches of rain in 24 hours from a good storm. You got to have some bad storms. And that's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got a chance of rain again this weekend. Usually when 4th of July gets here, you figure it ain't going to rain again until September in our areas. Well, the models are showing we've got a chance for some precipitation for July and August. So I hope so.
Keep it coming. We've had plenty of it right here where I'm at, and I can use some more.
It don't take long to dry up when it's 110 though.
Mm-mm.
Does not. No.
What are you looking up there, Andy?
El Nino first year.
What's it?
97.
Was the first year they had El Nino was in 97. I guess you think I just make shit up.
No, I'm telling you, it was the first year they ever had it.
I think we had it before. They just didn't have a name for it.
Yes, Jeff, you are correct.
I'm sure they've had it since the dawn of time.
Probably.
But I never had even heard that term until that year. I remember that year it was foggy a bunch, which fog kills us here.
Yeah, it's not good for us.
Yeah. I heard you guys were talking to somebody the other day about hunting in fog. I've had both sides of the fence with that. I've had really great days, and it seems like killing ducks in fog does really good for us. A lot of times the geese.
No, our goose.
So much.
What's hard on it is the birds don't fly till late. Well, and sometimes if it's foggy all day, usually you don't have no wind when it's foggy, so you don't have no wind. It's quiet. Everything seems so different. You can't get up above the fog, and the birds get above it, and then they come down, and then all of a sudden there's decoys there, and it scares the shit out of them. But then scouting the next day, the birds that morning all end up somewhere they normally wouldn't be. So then you scout the next evening, and you're like, well, shit, what are they going to do? They're going to go back to this field. It's just I just don't like fog. And then the guys on the coast, they love it.
Yeah, and there's no running traffic.
No,
if you're in fog, screwed. I'd rather not have it. For sure.
If we can get wind and fog, it's not as terrible. But there's a lot of most of the time you get fog, it's pretty still conditions. But I'm with you.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit of sunshine. I want things that break the cycle. Like if we get too many days of sunshine, we need some clouds. Kind of keep them on their toes. Too many days of cloud cover, and a little bit of sunshine can do the trick. But anytime that you get a big run of any sort of weather, it can kind of make your bird stale. Where all you need is that little bit of switch. El Nino was originally recognized by fishermen off the coast of South America as the appearance of unusually warm water in the Pacific Ocean occurring near the beginning of the year. El Nino means the little boy or the Christ child in Spanish. This name was used for the tendency of phenomena to arrive around Christmas. So there's your little bit of El Nino history. But yeah, anyway, I hope it does what we need it to do, which is cold weather, wet weather, and a real winter.
So
but we'll see.
One of my last questions for you: are you an OU or an OSU fan?
I'm an OU fan.
Good, because you answered the thing I wanted to have you answer. What are your thoughts, the SEC? Because the great Colin Cowherd, and I use "great" very loosely, says that Oklahoma is going to be the next Nebraska. They are going to be irrelevant in football from now on.
I wish we would have just stayed in the Big 12. I think it's going to be rough for a couple of years. I think that it's going to bring a lot of good recruiting opportunities
to us, though.
So, no, we didn't need it at all. I'd much rather stay in the Big 12 and keep doing what we were doing. But who knows? We might be the next powerhouse.
So you're optimistic about this?
Blindly optimistic. Yeah. I think it's going to turn out bad for at least a couple of years, and then we might come out on the top.
There's a college. There's a little school in College Station, Texas, that went to the SEC, and I don't think it's benefited them at all.
So is this next year that they go?
Yeah, this year they play Big 12.
A normal schedule.
Yes, and then next year they go to SEC.
Because I'm looking at their schedule right now: Arkansas State, SMU, Tulsa, Cincinnati, Iowa State, Texas, October 7th, UCF, Kansas, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, BYU, and TCU.
They don't play Tech this year?
Not according to this. Not a very intimidating lineup.
So OU's not playing Texas Tech this year? They play every Big 12 school, I thought. I thought that's how they did it.
Doesn't look like it, Jeff. I don't know what you're wanting from me here.
I would have never. I thought Tech played OU this year.
I would think so too. Here's another one. Yeah, same.
And so y'all don't play Oklahoma. This is the last year y'all play Oklahoma State, right?
Yep, I believe so.
At Oklahoma State this year.
Which is, yep, absolutely. I'm not a fan of that either.
Right,
The Bedlam game is just a big tradition for us,
I think Oklahoma State and probably, I think Houston's coming into the Big 12. Oklahoma State, Houston, and TCU are going to be the benefactors of Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12. And one of those schools, just like TCU played the national championship game this year, one of those schools is going to win the Big 12 and be 12-0 or 13-0 and get it. But it's going to be, they're going to 8 teams. But one of those teams is going to be in every year with a chance, or every other year with a chance that really good football team. Where with Oklahoma and Texas, there'll be a couple of losses. And I think the SEC has hurt themselves because those teams are going to beat each other up. And I don't think they're going to get 3 teams in every year like they think they are, even though the SEC has the best football in the country. Would you agree on that, Andy?
They're decent.
They're decent. Jesus. Now you've pissed off the people in the South. You pissed the Northerners off now.
They're decent.
The SEC is the best conference there is in college sports.
I agree. I think
they won the girls' basketball. They won boys' football. They won
men's baseball.
Who won men's basketball?
Yeah.
Do we care?
Gonzaga?
No, it was somebody else won. I don't know who the fuck won. It was probably
Sacred Hearts.
Was it Alabama? Maybe no. Who won? Oh no, Connecticut won. UConn won. So they've won basketball. They won football, women's basketball, baseball.
They're salty.
And softball. Well, no, the Big 12 won softball.
For another year, for one more year.
And then it'll be an SEC school. The greatest dynasty in college sports is the OU girls softball.
Yep, absolutely. I'm a big fan of OU softball. They're
I'm not a fan of them, but I got a lot of respect.
So the Bedlam game ending, that's pretty
Yeah.
much like A&M in Texas was.
Yep.
For the last however long.
15 years, however long it's been since they left. 10 years. I don't even know
Well,
how
I
long
mean,
it's
it's
been.
happened before in sports.
Yes. That's just
Sad.
a shame to throw those traditions away.
Yeah.
And I think
I agree.
Oklahoma State's ready to tell you to kiss their ass anyways and leave.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that they'll finally be able to win a few games in their conference once we leave.
There you go.
My girlfriend she's from Arlington, and she's a big Longhorns fan, so that's always a big rivalry here in this house.
I think that rivalry's flipping back to Texas now.
After that last year, which we went down there and we seen it in person, and I don't know.
Well, it would have been,
see
if Caleb Williams wouldn't have come in and saved y'all's ass the year before, it would have been 2 big losses.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Absolutely.
Oklahoma is the school of transfer portal. So you've made a living off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got all the quarterbacks.
We grow quarterbacks here.
No, you don't grow them.
School.
No, bullshit.
Absolutely.
They grow other places. Kyler Murray, A&M. Baker Mayfield at Lubbock. Jalen Hurts at at Alabama. But then y'all got butt hurt and your panties in a wad when Caleb Williams went to USC.
Yeah, well, they get the title of paramedic elsewhere, but we make them paramedics here quarterbacks here at OU, and then just ship them off to go win games at their new
and
schools.
The kid at USC is the best quarterback that's played at OU, I think.
In recent years, yeah,
okay,
for sure.
All right,
I would agree.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I was going to tell you, you give me your forever. Sam Bradford was a great college quarterback, didn't make it in the pros. We don't know how Caleb Williams is going to be, but he looks like the best NFL prospect probably since Andrew Luck as a quarterback or Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam Bradford was definitely up there. Josh Heupel way back in the day. We had a lot of good ones back then, but in my lifetime, for sure, Sam Bradford would be the best. I mean, Spencer Rattler, much as I hate that guy, he was a very good quarterback.
That's the ugliest
for us.
guy to ever play quarterback at Oklahoma.
He is, yeah. I don't know what he had, but he had something.
Well, he's not a looker at all. Just think that poor guy, if he would have got hurt the first game of the year and not played, he would have been a top 5 draft pick. Playing an extra year at South Carolina, and I don't think he'll get drafted.
No, I don't think so. He had a couple of good games up there, South Carolina, but I think he might get drafted just maybe later on.
What are you looking up, Andy?
I'm trying to see if he was albino, but I don't think
He's not albino. He's just not pretty. He looks like that guy off Mask.
That's kind of what I thought, that he was albino because the red hair,
says
real pale red hair.
He stood out in a crowd like 2 Amish twins. We saw some Amish twin little people. I don't know what word you can use for them. And upstate New York, my grandkids were like, "Oh my God, look. Never seen an Amish. Are they, what's the word for it? Is it dwarf? Little people?
Little guy.
Set of twins. I never seen dwarf twins before either, and they were twins. Just hanging out. Oh, you can't say stuff like that. You'll get in trouble now.
No.
You can't.
Makes money.
They were on their rump springer.
If this is a picture of his parents, his dad's black and his mom's white, and just
his dad's a coach, I think.
Yeah.
Well, he did not get the good genes from either family when it come to looks, though. Woof.
Right. Well, not getting paid for that.
He looked like he was going to be a multi-millionaire there at one time, though.
Mm-hmm. You can't, as far as the transfer portals and stuff, you can't knock these kids for going and making their money. They're not. They don't care about OU. They don't care about. Caleb Williams probably doesn't care about USC or wherever they go. They just want to make the money and make it to the NFL.
Well, Spencer Rattler didn't join the transfer portal to help himself out. He didn't have no job at Oklahoma no more.
Well, that was to help himself out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, but it wasn't like he was getting paid a bunch of money to go to South Carolina, I don't think. But yeah, I don't. I think the transfer portal's fucked up, and I think the NIL's deal's fucked up. But if you're gonna play by the rules and do it, I'd be doing it too if I was a kid. I'd be telling my son the same thing. I mean, and these kids making this big ass money to play college football right now. Andy, what do you think? Do you think Patrick Mahomes would have ever made it through all 4 years at Tech or 3 years at Tech with today's transfer portal and the money?
Why wouldn't he have?
You don't think some other school would have tried to get him to leave Tech to go somewhere else, but pay bigger money?
Patrick Mahomes was not Patrick Mahomes.
He was a first-round draft pick. Yes, he was.
That he wouldn't. Andy Reid saw there was some guy in the Chiefs organization that pushed Andy Reid into that. He didn't have a whole lot of high draft stock coming into the draft.
He was a first-round grade.
Yeah.
In college, coming into his senior or his sophomore, junior year, whenever he's going to leave it, he had a first-round grade. So they knew he would have been in high demand in today's league. Do you think he would have stayed do you think Lubbock people would have chipped in the money to keep him there? To go 8-6?
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think that there was that high of demand.
I think that would have been an interesting deal because he was a stud in college.
Yeah, he was very good.
But he was in the right system.
Yeah. And I think that's the knock that a lot of tech players get is it's all the system out in Lubbock. They don't, because there's been a lot of quarterbacks that are out there that put up great stats that you put them in a pro-style offense and they don't materialize into shit. So I think Patrick Mahomes kind of had that knock of, well, what's he going to do when he gets outside the Cliff Kingsbury offense? And he went to the right place.
Well, Tech has not had a great showing of NFL players.
They haven't, no. But
Wes Welker, Crabtree was really good, but he kind of fiddled.
But quarterbacks, I mean.
But offensive linemen, Tech has put a bunch of offensive linemen in the NFL. Right. A lot. But
it's kind of that joke is like, well, in Lubbock, he throws for 7,000 yards in a season and 200 touchdowns, but it's the system is what's making him good. So I don't think that, there could have been another college maybe, but I don't think that Patrick Mahomes would have been in great demand just because of that stigma that Tech quarterbacks get.
Yeah, I think he was a 3-star recruit. I don't think he wasn't but once he got to Tech and played after his sophomore year before his last year in college, I think if he'd went the transfer portal, he'd had a bunch of money because he was special.
Maybe.
And he still is.
He could have went to OU and been a first-round pick or first pick in the draft.
That's what everybody else.
OU quarterback.
Everybody else that does that. Lincoln Riley was a good coach. Y'all lost a damn good coach there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And I can tell you right now, I don't know the man, nothing at all, but he's not happy about going to the Big Ten, I bet you.
No, I don't imagine he is. But we got Venables now, and we're putting all of our trust in Venables. And I think he's gonna do good by us. I think.
Y'all missed out by screwing off the guy that's at Tennessee.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a kind of a shoe-in. I thought that's just what was going to happen. Was he's going to come over here and coach? But I've heard that there was some bad blood between OU and him.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah.
He gonna stick it to y'all's ass when y'all play in that SEC against him now.
He very well might. Yeah, he very well might.
All right, Cody, I appreciate you being on here, man. You have a great day. God bless you. Have a safe 4th of July. Are you working on the 4th?
Oof.
No, sir. That's I start my 8 days off on the 4th of July. So
beautiful. That's beautiful timing on your part.
I feel sorry for game wardens, ambulance people, and cops on the 4th of July. Especially
it's going to be busy.
Especially game wardens have to wear a lot that bulletproof vest at the lake. Oof.
Yeah.
But the scenery's good.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's right. All right, Cody, my man, we're gonna let you off of here. We appreciate you coming on, and good luck this season.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you, my friend. Bye.
You too.
Got it.
Cody Sellers, Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Birthplace of Brad Pitt. Patrick Mahomes started all 13 games his sophomore year, 46.53 passing yards, another 400. Here's an interesting stat. Might be bullshit. I didn't verify it. Harbaugh has more rushing yards than Bo Jackson.
No. Jim Harbaugh?
You may look it up.
Yes. There's no way.
I saw a meme, so it could be.
It's bullshit. Didn't Bo Jackson win the Heisman?
In the pros.
Then who? Then Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah.
No.
I'll look it up in just a second. Maybe I got my
Bo
shit
Jackson had more yards on that one play when he trucked Brian Bosworth than fucking Harbaugh did in the NFL.
I'll look it up in just a second.
I don't remember Harbaugh being that great a quarterback at Chicago.
46.53. One of just 5 quarterbacks in the FBS to throw for 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and also rush for another.
That was his sophomore year.
That was his sophomore 10.
Sophomore year. Did he play his junior year too?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. After that year right there, if he would have went in the transfer, he would have gotten a lot of money at today's standards.
He didn't play his senior year, though.
No, but between his sophomore and junior year, if he'd went in the transfer portal, one of the big schools.
And then as a junior, he led the country with 5,000 passing yards in just 12 games. Became the first Red Raider to lead the country in passing yards since Graham Harrell. So, I mean, and also Cliff Kingsbury, BJ Sims, Sonny Cumbie. So, I mean,
It was the system.
it's not uncommon to have a Texas Tech quarterback lead the nation in passing stats.
But he was special, and that's why he was a first-round draft pick, and none of them other guys were.
You've heard Andy Reid talk about
First-round draft pick.
Yeah,
they traded up to get him.
because that guy was twisting his arm.
He had a first-round grade. None of them other guys got even drafted till the 6th round of free agents. He was that special that if Kansas City wouldn't have traded up for him, somebody else was taking him. Would he be the same Patrick Mahomes? Probably not. He's in a great system.
Right.
You know? But he was a special quarterback and would have got big bucks on that
You
system.
didn't even agree with them taking Patrick Mahomes. So don't give me this bullshit 5 or 6 years later.
What are you talking about? I said he was a first-round draft pick.
You were not happy.
Why did I not happy?
You were not happy. I remember. You were not happy.
Well, I figured he was going to be another one.
If we had a podcast, but yeah, it's exactly what you said. He's going to be another Texas Tech quarterback. So don't give me this bullshit.
But he was a first-round pick, though.
But don't give me this bullshit that you're like, oh, he's special. He's special. You didn't even like the pick when it happened.
Well, no, I didn't think he's going to be NFL special. But he was special. Man.
Okay. You're just proving my point.
Okay.
There was the stigma of a Texas Tech quarterback.
I said Arch Manning's going to be a bust, and I'm sticking by that. And I think Kyler Murray is a bust in the NFL, and I think that's the worst contract in football, other than Russell Wilson's and maybe Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's at least one. What are we looking up now?
My one thing.
There's no way.
Okay. Today I learned Jim Harbaugh had more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson.
No way.
No,
Bo Jackson got hurt, and he didn't play very many years, and he also played pro baseball. That can't be true.
Yeah, this can't be right.
How many career yards has Jim Harbaugh got rushing?
2787.
I don't know that.
Bo Jackson, 2782.
I'll be damned. Bo didn't play much, and he was hurt. I would have never thought. I can't believe Jim Harbaugh had 2,700 yards rushing.
I can't either, but
boy, I would have lost a bunch of money on that. That is an interesting stat.
That's what this says. This is according to Twitter, so, you know.
Poor Bo Jackson was Hall of Fame talent, too.
Yeah, here's another one. Jim Harbaugh has more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson, 2787 to 2782.
By God, somebody signed Bo Jackson, let him get 6 yards, and let him retire.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Look at Bo Jackson's stats. How many years did he actually play full-time football? 1 year, maybe? Because he only played half a season, usually.
He got hurt?
Well, he played baseball.
Oh.
What's his average yards?
Now I got to look up football stats because it's trying to give me his baseball shit that nobody cares about. Fucking hell. Wikipedia might be easier to find this.
It's funny because he played for the Royals and then he played football for the Raiders.
Yeah, that could not have been easy. Let me see. Vincent Edward Bo Jackson.
Bo's a hunter, too. We ought to try to get him on the podcast. Be a good guest.
87, 88, 89, and 90. Played 7, 10, 11, and 10.
So he played 7, 10, 11, 28, 38 games, and he had 2,700 yards. So basically in 2.5 years. How many games did he play? 38 games?
38 games,
That's
515 rushing attempts, 5.4 yards a carry.
That's Hall of Fame stats for the. Yeah, I mean, that's two seasons.
Yeah, 16 touchdowns.
You know, if you average that over a 10 season times that by 5, that's too bad. He was a hell of an athlete.
Hip injury.
Yep.
What got him?
Yep.
Popped his hip back into the socket. Boy, you know that's got to fucking hurt. There was somebody else that had that. Wasn't it Jamar Chase this last year?
I think so.
Whew. Damn. There's a lot. Like, I'd rather shoulder, elbow. I don't know. Thinking about your elbow, like bending the opposite way, but that hip, that's a big bone.
Yeah.
Popping that son of a bitch back in. Damaged blood vessels supplying blood to the hip. So, anyway, there's your fun fact for Friday.
Hard to believe a guy that only had 2,700 yards was the face of Nike before Michael Jordan, or basically outside of Michael Jordan was a bigger face for Nike.
Bo knows, Jeff.
Yep.
Bo knows. So, there you go. Jim Harbaugh for the win. Evidently, he was a scrambling mofo.
I did not realize that. I didn't think he played long enough to have that many yards. I remember when he was at Michigan, he was good.
I don't know.
But he played for the Bears before or after Vince McMahon. I can't remember. I think it was after Vince. I think before Vince McMahon. Because Vince McMahon was their quarterback when they won the Super Bowl in '86. And I think Harbaugh was the quarterback before then.
Don't get me lying, Jeff. I'm just doing good to keep my numbers and stories straight.
Yeah, you've done well today.
Done well.
Today's been a good day for you.
Other than pissing off the Northerners about the hunting bit.
Oh, then you pissed off the SEC
And
too.
the Southerners for the. There is a thing called.
You moving to Switzerland.
So there's a little bit of thing called riling people up.
I'll tell you something I saw today that was kind of interesting to politics is that, and I don't know, I'm sure this isn't true, but it's funny. It says that what was the guy's name in Russia that tried to do the coup? Wagner. That Wagner and Putin played the CIA for $6.2 billion.
Oh, gave it to Wagner.
Gave it to Wagner, and now him and Putin got the money. I don't know if that's true or not. If Putin made another $3 billion, that means he's worth about $200 billion now.
Right. It's coming out now that Biden wears a CPAP machine and it hadn't been disclosed.
What's that matter?
Just that we don't have an accurate gauge on where he is health-wise.
I do. He's fucking bones and skin and dumbass.
Nobody's telling anybody that.
Yeah, but I don't think a CPAP makes a big mistake. If we had Robert Kennedy ran for president and he got elected, and they said he's got a CPAP machine, I wouldn't give a shit.
I wouldn't either.
Trump, I wouldn't give a shit. I didn't care if Obama had one.
But we're all about this, this full disclosure.
There ain't nothing full disclosure with this administration.
But like he had to come out and have the lines on his face for anybody to even think to ask him. Like there's no transparency at all. They said Kennedy lit it up last night.
What did he do last night?
He had a town hall and was just on fucking fire.
I did see that Trump said he likes him.
Loves him.
Yeah, thinks he's a good guy.
Loves him.
And
loves the guy. Trump was a Democrat for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
If they had a true primary, he would give them a run. If they thought Bernie was a pain in Hillary's ass,
right,
and they really do this, Kennedy will be a real pain in Biden's ass if they do the deal. But he's not going to do any kind of debates at all.
Bernie was fringe. Bernie had his following. They were loyal to the end.
Still are. A bunch of dumbasses.
But, like, Bernie didn't cross party lines.
No, he will, though. Kennedy will.
You had to be hard left to be a Bernie supporter. Kennedy, like, he's got a lot of appeal to a lot of people on the right. He's got a lot of appeal to people who are just pissed off with the establishment, which is why.
And it's funny because he's a Kennedy, and the Democrats want to cling on to that like that's their big thing, but they hate the Kennedys. They kill them.
Kill two of them.
Another thing, too, with Bernie is Bernie's a nutless fucker.
Why?
Biggest pussy in the whole world.
Oh.
2 times in a row, he had a chance to be the Democratic deal, and he backed down because he was too big a pussy. Yeah. Didn't want to talk about emails. Didn't want to talk about this. Didn't want to talk about. They were bought and paid for. He was a pussy. He's a big old pussy.
But yeah, go look up the clips from last night's town hall and pretty good.
I'm sure he is. The problem is he's a fucking Democrat, and you got to get all that other shit with him, and I just can't do it. Can't do it.
They kept trying to make him anti-vax. He said, I don't know where this has come from, but I am not anti-vax. He said, I want more oversight on how vaccines are developed. He said it's the only drug that can be administered that, you don't have to, that can skirt the loopholes that every other drug is held accountable to. He said, that's my problem with this.
Yeah, because it's bought and paid for.
It's not, he said, it's not one for one. He said, I'm not anti-vax. He said, I just want there to be more research and development that goes into some of these vaccines.
How many members of Congress and the Senate, honestly, do you think of the percentage-wise have had the real vax, had a vax?
Oh, I don't know. I can't even guess.
I'm going to guess less than half.
I wouldn't even know.
I saw where, is it Pfizer that has one?
I don't know.
It's Pfizer's. One of them come out today, and they said a third of their vaccines were placebos. I read that on Fox this morning.
I don't know.
But they're getting paid that government money for it. It was a money deal. This whole thing's a scam, anyways. But the guy has got some really good points. I wish he was running as a Republican. It'd make it a lot easier. I just don't trust a Democrat Congress and Senate. Don't do it. So I can't do nothing for him. I hope he runs as a third-party candidate, and that will sink the Democrats.
Is it going?
He did say that he will not support whoever the Democratic candidate is.
Really?
He said they did ask him. They said, "So you will stand behind and support whoever wins the Democratic deal?" He said, "No, I will not." I did see that.
What?
He said
I
he
didn't
won't.
see that.
He said, "I'm not gonna just because you're a Democrat and you're running for president don't mean I'm going to support you."
Right.
Just like I'm not.
gotcha.
I'm telling you right now, America, I'm not voting for just because if you're a Republican and you're on the ticket, I probably won't vote. If it's not Trump, I don't know that I'll vote for any Republican. I would vote for Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know if she's going to be Democrat or Republican, but I would vote for her. There are some people out there I would vote for. I'm not voting for any fucking Bush. I'm not voting for fucking Chris Christie, his fat ass. I ain't voting for him. There's a lot of people I'm not voting for. So I'm not going to vote just Republican. So I was glad to say Kennedy say I'm not going to vote just for,
Right.
We don't need. The best thing happened to America if it was Trump and Kennedy running, because you wouldn't have a real politician running for president. I mean, you would have someone there that thinks outside of the box and is not on party lines. We should never be a place in our country where party line votes on everything. The Democrats put something up, every Democrat votes for it, and every Republican votes against it.
But you're doing the exact same thing with Kennedy. You're party lining.
I can't
being a
vote.
party liner.
I can't vote for the party that believes in all the transgender bullshit, all the vax stuff, the mask on planes, all that other shit, all the socialism and shit. No, I can't vote for that.
But that's not Kennedy.
But that's the Democrats. And if he gets elected president, all he is a figurehead on top of all their fucking voting in the Senate and the House. No, I can't do it. But if he was running for president and Trump, at least we would get a president that at least is not a party line person. And that's what we need in all of politics. We need a Democrat from Montana to vote for Montana issues. We need a Republican in New York City to vote for Republican issues. We don't need them to switch over. A California Republican is no different than a fucking Democrat almost.
Did you see this? Hold on, it's funny. It's a Trump clip. He's talking about General Milley.
Yep.
Did you see it already?
No.
Oh.
I just knew when you said General Milley.
There, so they can have it. That it is to fill it up with a half a tank of gas.
They're talking about leaving all of the stuff
in Afghanistan.
Overseas.
You sir, was it stupid, sir? That's when I realized I was a fucking idiot.
That's when I realized he was a fucking idiot.
He's exactly right.
I wish that more people would talk like that.
But that's the way we talk in real life. I mean, there are people that don't cuss near as much as I do, but that's the way people talk.
That's when I realized I was a fucking idiot.
That's the gist of it. But it's a 3-minute clip. But that was.
But see, the headlines, when you go to Yahoo, it'll be something. I look at Yahoo News every day because I look at the stock report on it. And every day you look through the headlines, it's all big media trying to bash conservative shit. It don't matter who it is. They cherry pick shit all the time. And then when you read the actual article, it's not nothing what the headline says anyways. But like I said, Aunt Lois in Des Moines, she reads that and she thinks that's the world and what's going on.
Yeah.
Good for Trump.
That's when I realized he was a fucking idiot. The way he says fucking is funny too to me.
What's funny?
Not fucking, it's fucking.
What? Sadly, when he's gone, what do we got next to replace him with? It ain't DeSantis.
I don't know.
And I thought DeSantis would be the next guy, but I'm not a big. More and more I find out about DeSantis. I think he's a deep stater, just another politician.
I don't know. I don't read many comments much on YouTube. I'll kind of skim through them, but this one got me. It was about Jared Goody, who got poisoned by his wife. By her profile picture, it is a black lady. That community, ISH. I don't know what that means.
ISH?
Yeah. These LDS, that's Latter-day Saints, have some weird ISH going on. Shit, maybe?
Probably.
Anyway, bump that. You divorced her but once for a reason. Then her last name is Murdoch. Child, please. CHYLE, please. Child, please. Better protect those babies. Absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, I don't read many YouTube comments because most of them are just kind of nasty. That one got me. And the all caps for ISH, I
think it's shit. We got a broader reach than we do realize we do, though, because we have a lot of people that message me, and I'm like,
yeah. No, but for whatever reason, like YouTube always skews negative. Like any comment on there, it's always usually like, here's one. Andy, good grief, let the man tell his story. I thought we all did a very good job of letting him tell his story. one of the things with that was he has severe brain fog, and he told us before the podcast to help keep him on track. So I thought that's what I was doing.
You
but
could
anyway.
If you read comments, you ain't
exactly.
going to be happy anyways.
Right, exactly. So I take the Joe Rogan approach, and I don't read anything. So
I mean,
but that one got, it was all caps that stood out to me, and I was like, what is she talking about?
look at it this way. Like I told you before, when people are trashing you, that means they're listening
Child,
to
please protect those babies. Her
That's
last
right.
name's Murdoch. Should have been all he needed to know. All right, we got anything else going on?
you.
Stay safe. 4th of July. Listen, alcohol, fireworks, and all that shit don't mix. Be safe.
Be
Make good
smart.
decisions. Keep your kids safe. I know a lot of people go to the lakes on 4th of July and get drunk and hammered. Keep kids, be watching over
If
them.
you're
Put them
taking
in
your
life
kids with you,
jackets.
you're a parent. Be a parent.
Yeah.
Don't be a partier. Newest podcast sponsor will be here on Monday. We'll talk about it. It's Hemp Hill Farm. That's hemphillfarm.com. It is a CBD farm, I guess what you'd say. We're going to talk all about the CBD business next Monday. And anyways, thank you. God bless y'all. Have a great weekend. Remember, we're all lucky to be Americans. We just got a few of us are fucking stupid Americans, but we are lucky to be Americans. And only 2 people ever died for you is Jesus Christ and the U.S. soldier. Thank you. God bless you.
Check out all of our wonderful sponsors. We're turning the calendar into July, and that means hunting season's going to be here before we know it. Check out Shin Gear, Dirty Duck Coffee, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Dive Bomb Industries, Pacific Halls, Boss Shot Shells, Alpha Outdoors, Stanfield Hunting Outfitters, Mossberg, Double T British Kennels, Ducks Unlimited, and Lucky Duck.